What's happening? A good Monday to all of you. Thanks for joining me. As always, it is very much appreciated. Want to get to my thoughts on Drake Maye, what we saw yesterday from the rookie quarterback. Also want to get to the rest of the game and what we saw from the rest of the team. But before I do, couple of notes this morning, couple of items earlier today about the offensive line. We start with Nick Leverett. Nick Leverett has been released by the Patriots. He's done, no longer with the team. We'll see if he ends up on the practice squad, but no more Nick Leverett. And, it's interesting. I wonder if things would have changed if Jake Andrews was healthy. You had your backup center. Leverett wasn't thrown in at center. Would his Patriots career have gone a little bit differently? We don't know. But he was thrown in at center. Did not work out great. Had a really rough week last week. Was banged up as well. So he is now gone off the team. Ben Brown, who started yesterday, who, literally popped up in New England just going back a couple of days ago. He ends up starting yesterday at center, and Ben Brown played pretty well. So now he is your center. We'll see if Cole Strange factors in as well, because, of course, Gerard Mayo last week mentioned Cole Strange 100% having an opportunity to play at center at some point. So maybe Cole Strange is getting back pretty soon. So we'll see how the center spot shakes out. But right now, Nick Leverett is done. Vidarian Lowe, who was playing well. I mean, he played great last week. He played pretty well yesterday in the 10 snaps that we saw from him. He just can't get his feet underneath him. Again, another injury. Hurts his ankle yesterday. He's going to have an MRI. So we wonder what happens with the Vidarian Lowe. And will Lowe return? Will he be healthy at any point this year? Because, again, when he's been out there, he's been pretty good. And it's frustrating. He was great last week. Very frustrating to lose a guy who's actually done pretty well in pass protection at left tackle when he's been given the opportunity to be healthy and play. So hopefully he can come back. 10 snaps yesterday, just not enough. All right, before I get to Drake Maye and some thoughts on Drake, Charlie sends a $10 super chat. Thank you, Charlie, for the super chat. We may have lost, but May got me feeling like it's a victory Monday. How many do you feel like it's a victory Monday, even though you lost by 20 yesterday? Does today feel different than the last 4 losses that we saw? Does it feel different to be a Patriots fan today because of Drake Maye? Charlie, thank you for the 10. It is very much appreciated. I'll tell you what, I want your thoughts on Drake Maye. Don't forget to throw those comments in. All the comments help us beat that algorithm. So don't forget to give us those thumbs up on the YouTube channel. Don't forget to throw your comments in. Did you like what you saw from Drake Maye yesterday? Did you love what you saw from Drake Maye yesterday? Any concerns? Any concerns after watching him play yesterday against the Houston Texans? Overall, I would say my word for watching Drake Maye play yesterday and how I feel is I'm encouraged. I was encouraged by what I saw yesterday. Drake Maye did not look overwhelmed. We talked about the matchup. It was going to be a very difficult matchup, a very good Houston Texans defense. They were going to go after Maye, and they did. They blitzed more than, I think, 32% of the time yesterday, so almost on a third of the snaps, not the 50% that I threw out there and said I wouldn't be surprised if they blitz him 50% of the time. But I thought there was a lot of encouraging signs yesterday, and Patriots fans watching that game yesterday should be excited about Drake Maye. And if you had questions about Drake Maye, I don't know if all those questions were answered. It's been one game, but I do think it was encouraging watching him play yesterday and how he looked. He did not look overwhelmed against that defense. He did not look overwhelmed going against D'Amico Ryans, facing the blitz, the pressure that he faced. He didn't look like he was overwhelmed in the moment, which is very good to see. He had some confidence. Now, early on, wasn't great, right? Early on, wasn't awesome. We'll get to that. But he kind of settled down as the game went forward, and as he played more, it looked like he got more comfortable. And he really is, to me, he's exactly as advertised. Like, I was not surprised by anything that Drake Maye did or did not do yesterday during that game. And if you've watched this podcast, I've tried to lay the groundwork plenty about what you should expect from Drake Maye. And I thought he was exactly as advertised, good, and some of the stuff that wasn't so good. But let's start with the good. When Drake Maye is your quarterback, you're going to have some splash plays because he does have special traits. He does have talent, right? He's got the arm talent. He's got the athleticism / mobility. he is going to do things on a football field at least 2-3 times a game that you look and go, wow, that was a pretty special play. That was a fantastic throw, right? Just because he has those special traits. And we saw yesterday some of those splash plays. Of course, the Kayshon Boutte touchdown, just a flick of the wrist, looked effortless. That ball traveled 50 yards, 51 yards in the air, and it was effortless. Simple flick of the wrist, bucket throw, fantastic throw by Maye to Boutte for that touchdown. And that's a throw that you don't see Mac Jones make, right? That's a throw that you don't see Jacoby Brissett make. Jacoby Brissett's had trouble going downfield. Drake Maye changed that immediately with that touchdown to Kayshon Boutte. Andrew Callahan posted that the touchdown to Boutte was the longest Patriots completion by air yards since Christmas Eve 2023 and their longest at home since Christmas Eve of 2022. So apparently every Christmas Eve they dial up a long pass downfield and it works. So it's actually been a while since we've seen a play like that and a throw like that. So great throw on that play. That's your splash play, touchdown, throwing deep, showing the arm talent, showing the accuracy downfield. That's what you like to see. The improv play to Hunter Henry that went for 30. That's another Drake Maye splash play, right? His ability to kind of buy time, keep his eyes downfield, get away from the rush a little bit, and that mobility and athleticism allows him to eventually find Hunter Henry, dumps it off to Henry. Henry goes for 30. That's another play that you don't see from a Jacoby Brissett or a Mac Jones or some of these other quarterbacks. The ability to keep his eyes downfield, to make that play to Henry. That's a chunk play. You don't get that chunk play if Drake Maye's not playing in that game yesterday. You're not going to get a play like that. He had 2 quote-unquote explosive runs, 15 yards, 11 yards. So again, showing you that athleticism. Greg Bedard wrote about Maye, Boston Sports Journal. The Patriots had 6 pass plays of over 20 yards in the first 5 games, okay? So they only had 6 plays in the passing game that went for 20 or more yards through the first 5 weeks of this season. Yesterday, they had 4. That is the Drake Maye factor. The 40-yard touchdown to Boutte, 35-yard touchdown to Pop Douglas, 30-yard pass I just mentioned to Hunter Henry, and then he also had that 22-yard pass to the sideline to Douglas as well after he scanned the football field. That was his, 3rd or 4th target on that play. So that's a full progression from Maye. Dumps it off, again, showing the arm talent. He's got pressure around him in the pocket, shows that arm talent to the right side of the field, finds Pop Douglas. Douglas gets 22 yards. The Henry play, that pop play, the Kayshon Boutte deep touchdown, those are not happening with the other quarterbacks on this roster. That's the splash plays that Drake Maye can bring to the table. And he showed us that. And he showed us that with also his explosive runs. All right. Get more on Maye in a minute. But first, want to hit a couple of these super chats. McDowell's Human Resources Department, $5 super chat. Exactly what I was hoping to see from Maye. I do know this offensive line galore need to be signed to this team next summer. Yeah, look, offensive line, again, Vidarian Lowe has played well. He just has not been able to stay healthy. He's had an incredibly unlucky season so far when it comes to health, and who knows what's going to happen now after he gets this MRI. And it's frustrating because he's played pretty well in pass protection. He was excellent last week. He was literally one of the best offensive tackles per Pro Football Focus last week in pass protection. And, he's trying to get some momentum. We talked about it on Friday, the continuity of this offensive line. And what happens? During the game, there goes the continuity. This offensive line has not been capable of staying healthy and playing alongside each other for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time. It's been one and done. And so very frustrating that Lowe went out with that injury yesterday. And it was something, when you have a situation like that and you've got a one-on-one and the right tackle gets dusted, it costs you that 3rd down, but it ends up costing you one of your better offensive linemen in pass pro. And so it's just a killer yesterday. And hopefully he can come back. But as I said at the beginning of this podcast, he's getting an MRI. That does not sound great. It's his ankle. We'll see what happens. Derek Irish, is Polk getting separation or not? Different reports say different things. Are we worried about drops? Thanks, Nick. You're the best. Jalen Polk is on my downs list. I'm disappointed in Jalen Polk. And I think it depends. I saw Evan Lazar tweet this, I think it was yesterday, about separation. There are stats that tell you he's separating. I shared the statistic going back, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, where he was tied for first in the rookie class for getting separation at 28% of his snaps or whatever it was, right? He was tied with Adonai Mitchell, AD Mitchell. So there are some analytics that tell you he's separating. There are others say that he doesn't separate enough. It's difficult with the target separation statistics and analytics because different sources look for different things. I'll go over, for example, pressure rate. Pro Football Focus had the Patriots pressure rate yesterday given up at like 30%. Next Gen Stats had it at 47%. It's an astronomical difference. It's how do these places chart these types of analytics, and everybody has a different system. So in some cases, they'll tell you that he has been able to separate. He's separating on film. Other places will tell you he's not separating enough. The drops to me are the bigger issue. And I was very high on Jalen Polk coming out. I watched him at Washington, thought he was a good receiver, thought he was going to be a solid number 2 for this team. And he still can be. I mean, it's only 6 weeks into his NFL career, and we don't really evaluate or grade rookies or a rookie class until at least a year or two down the road. So he still has plenty of football left, but there's no doubt that Jalen Polk the last couple of weeks, do you fault him for the non-touchdown last week against Miami? I know some people fault him and say that he didn't have good body control. I think it's a ridiculous rule, but it is what it is. And the drops are an issue, and they weren't an issue at camp. When I was out there at camp watching Polk, the guy that had the drops issues, that was Javon Baker. So the drops are concerning, and he has been a disappointment. And hopefully, I still have hope that the change at quarterback will eventually get the most out of Polk, and he will have one of these games where he turns it around. But there's no denying that he has not had a great start to his NFL career. Vitalix jumps in with a $10 super chat. Thank you, Vitalix. If the Patriots, I see what you did there, win next week, which color jersey should I get? Have a good one, Nick. Thank you, Vitalix. I appreciate the 10. Appreciate all the super chats. Look, we'll talk about it a little bit later. Touch on it for a second. Won't go too deep into it because obviously we're reacting to yesterday's game, but the Jaguars defense next week, completely different situation, completely different world than what the Patriots faced yesterday with the Texans, what they're going to face next week with the Jaguars. So I hated the matchup this week for Drake May and the offense. I don't mind the matchup next week against the Jaguars defense. I'll just put it that way. Some key indicators defensively for the Jaguars that I think is good news for the Patriots and good news for Drake May. But we'll handle that when we get there. Back to Drake May. Again, the good stuff, the splash plays, right? A lot of good. He responded to adversity. And I think that's what you love to see from a young guy out there in a tough matchup against a defense that is getting after him. He responded to adversity. He had the slow start. He had the bad interception where he airmailed Pop and throws that pick. But he picks himself up off the ground, right? He took a couple of big hits. Looked like he was shook up early in this game, but he's able to kind of get himself sorted out, and he gets it right back on the rails. So he moves on from the interception. He just, mentally moves on from that play, says bad play, bad throw. I got to go out there. I got to play better. And he's focused on playing better. And so he doesn't let things get to him. And that's something that Elliott Wolf talked about after the draft. When they drafted Drake, they said, we love his comportment. When he was at UNC, there was all sorts of bad things happening around him, and he never really let it get to him. And in the post-game interviews, he never threw anybody else under the bus. He's always kind of taking responsibility and accountability. He has a kind of cool, calm, collected feel about him. Pop and other guys were saying in the locker room yesterday that even after that early interception, and when he was, when he got off to that slow start and the offense got off to that slow start, he was still in the huddle, talking to guys, revving them up, getting them ready, saying, we're going to come back, we're going to make some plays. And he definitely has that swagger, but he has the ability to overcome some of that adversity. Zero run game, right? They couldn't run the football yesterday. Houston is pinning their ears back, and Drake was able to take it all in, figure it out, and get better as the game went on. And I think that speaks a lot about who he is and how he doesn't let himself get too far ahead with some of these mistakes, right? Because some of these mistakes will bury guys. We saw that last year with Mac. Mac, everything kind of rolled down the hill, and Mac would throw a bad pick. It would lead to another bad pick. You see him on the sidelines. You see him on the bench sulking. That's not how Drake Maye operates. And so he gets right past that pick, moves forward and says, we're going to be better. I'm going to be better. And we saw that in college. 4 sacks, 8 quarterback hits, kept getting up, kept fighting back. So I love that. I love that. He learns from his prior mistakes, right? I mean, he has Pop on a slant and he throws it high and behind him. And because he threw it high and behind Pop, Pop got like a 16, 17-yard gain, could have had a much bigger play. What happens later in the game, though? It's kind of in the back of his mind, right? He puts that, he sticks a pin in it. They have a similar route. He hits Pop when Pop is running his route perfectly, leads Pop across the field. Pop catches it and gets a touchdown out of it. So again, learning from your mistake earlier in the game, fixing it, and then being able to find Pop on that same route for a touchdown. It's getting past the bad. It's getting past the setbacks. I loved seeing him get past those setbacks yesterday. He is also going to make mistakes. So, the good did not surprise me. The not so good did not surprise me. We've talked about Drake going back to the draft, going back to April when we were heading towards the draft, and we were talking about Drake Maye an awful lot. I had said he's erratic at times. He's going to miss throws, and sometimes he's going to miss easy throws. And we saw him miss some throws. That pick, the airmail to Pop Douglas, it's a bad throw. Got away from him. Just a bad throw leads to an interception. The high and behind slant to Pop, right? Again, did not have the best of accuracy on that throw. Throws it high and behind his intended receiver. Now, a great play by Pop, but you got to make a better throw there. There's another throw where he zipped it high, and Pop plucked it right out of the air with his hands. Great catch by Pop. But again, you're going to see some of that from Maye. Maye is going to have some misfires and expect turnovers, right? Rookie quarterback. He had his turnovers yesterday. Now, the first pick, that's on him. The second pick is a freak play. That's not on Maye. That is not on Maye. That's a freak play. That will hardly ever happen. That kind of play. The tip up and then the catch on the back of the of the offensive player. That's a weird, freaky pick. He does not see, somehow, he didn't see the rush coming right at him. It wasn't blindside. It was right at him. And he fails to get rid of the football quick enough. He fails to protect the football. You get the strip sack, another turnover. Those things are going to happen. Don't lose your mind over them. They're going to happen. There's going to be some up and down. He's going to give you those splash plays. He's also going to give you some of those, what was that, right? I said that on Friday. You're going to be watching this guy play, and you're going to be shaking your head going, wow, I can't believe that he just made that play. And then you're going to have some times where you're scratching your head going, why did he just make that play? Or why did he not make that play? It's part of the process. It's all part of the process. But overall, I think you walk away from that game yesterday feeling much better about Maye than feeling down about Maye. The adversity, responding to it, the splash plays. We talked about him being in the shotgun much more, and to expect the Patriots offense to change a little bit and have Maye in the shotgun more than under center. And we saw that yesterday. Evan Lazar wrote that, the first 5 weeks of the season with Jacoby Brissett, quarterback was under center 38% of the time. So almost 40% of the snaps, you had Jacoby Brissett under center. Yesterday, cut that number in half from 38% under center with Jacoby Brissett to 19% under center with Maye. So you saw a lot more use of the shotgun, and that makes a lot of sense. And I've criticized Alex Van Pelt an awful lot, and I think there were some misses yesterday by Alex yet again. But I will say, you go into the game, and it's clear that Van Pelt tweaked the offense and tried to make Drake more comfortable and did not rely on under center nearly as much. Again, cut the number in half, from 38% under center to 19% under center. And that is directly because of Drake Maye, what he did at UNC, and not being the most comfortable under center. More RPO. You saw more RPO calls. You saw more play action calls with Maye. Again, these are plays that he's comfortable with. And I think these are the kinds of things you're going to see Alex Van Pelt continue to do, utilize Maye differently because he has a different skill set than Brissett. The other thing about Drake Maye is the fact that he played well versus man. He played well against the blitz. His passer rating, I think, was like 99 against the blitz. So he played very well against the blitz. Brissett struggled against the blitz. What defenses were doing is they were playing single high safety, and they were being ultra aggressive up front and playing man coverage. And Brissett and the Patriots, they were struggling with that. Their passing game was struggling with that. When you see Drake Maye throw that touchdown to Booty, that's not only great in the moment, but it also has long-term ramifications, because now defenses, they see that on film. Defenses were not afraid. They were not afraid of Jacoby Brissett. They were not afraid of this offense attacking downfield. Well, now you have that on film, and you see Drake Maye's ability to flick the wrist and throw it 50 yards over the top with an unbelievable bucket throw to Kayshon Boutte. Now, when you're a defensive coordinator and you're going in to face Drake Maye and the Patriots, you might not play as much single high safety man coverage anymore. You might not be as aggressive as you would have been against Brissett versus Maye, because Maye has that stuff on film now, and he's proving, no, I'm going to give my guy a chance. That's what he said in the postgame. He said they were pressing up. They were pressing up on my guys, and they were pressing up on Boutte, and they were playing aggressive. They were playing man, and my guy had a one-on-one. I took the shot. I gave him a chance. The gunslinger mentality we've talked about. And so defenses playing the single high safety, you're not going to see as much of that if Drake can continue to prove that he can beat you downfield. Defenses will have to react to that. And that will be a big deal for this offense. That will create a lot of other opportunities. You know, the book was out on the Patriots offense. With Drake Maye out there, the book is changing, because they know he's going to be a little bit more aggressive, and he's capable of making those throws. Evan Lazar wrote about Drake Maye against man coverage. Maye completed 6 passes for 110 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick against man coverage. He averaged over 9 yards per attempt, which was a season high for the Patriots offense. So again, if you're going to play man, you can get away with playing man against Jacoby Brissett. If you play man against a guy like Drake, you're playing with a little bit more fire. And defenses now understand that. And that should expand your playbook, expand your options, expand the opportunities to attack defenses. And that starts with Maye. Starts with Maye over Brissett. Thought it was a really good start for Drake Maye. Really good start to his career. Again, his first start in the NFL, I wouldn't say he was spectacular. He was far from flawless, but he did more than enough to encourage Patriots fans to feel like he can be the answer at quarterback. And he showed us enough going against the adversity, understanding the moment, taking shots, making throws, that are tight window throws, but he believes in himself. So I thought it was a really good start for Drake Maye. What did you think? I want your thoughts. What did you think about Drake Maye and the offense yesterday? Don't forget, do me a favor. I haven't talked about this in 24 minutes of this podcast, but take a second of your time to help us out doing a couple things. You click that thumbs up when you're watching on YouTube. Click the thumbs up. More likes means more eyeballs. We drive and build the traffic, right? Throw a comment in. Let me know how you feel about Drake Maye. Let me know how you feel about the offense. Everything that you saw play out yesterday. We're going to get into other stuff aside from Maye in a minute. But don't forget to like, don't forget to comment, and don't forget to subscribe. We're about 20 subscribers away from hitting 4,500, which is our next goal. So we're creeping closer to 4,500 subscribers. It's all because of you. It's all because of your support. So like, comment, subscribe. And if you're listening on demand at Spotify, Apple Pods, don't forget you also want to rate and review the program. All right, let's get to a couple of more super chats before we move on and dig deeper into the football game from yesterday. Ben Kelly, $10 super chat. Thank you, Ben. Scary to start against a juggernaut of a D like that, to play as well as he did. I think this will skyrocket his confidence, especially with the schedule over the next few weeks easing up. Yeah, now you look at the schedule, right? And you've got the Jaguars, you've got the Jets at home, you've got the Colts, you've got Tennessee. So the schedule is going to lighten up. Now, of course, these other teams are looking at the Patriots being on their schedule, and they're saying that their schedule is lightening up because the Patriots are one of the worst teams in football. But the matchups, Ben is right. The matchups, you see what happened yesterday. I was not, as you know, was not a fan of starting Drake May in that game yesterday. I would have much rather started him this weekend against Jacksonville, but the decision was made. I'm excited for Drake May. I love myself some Drake May. Love the pick. So it was never about Drake May. It was about, could he be in a situation that started him off a little bit better? With that said, he played yesterday against a top 3 defense per DVOA. He played against one of the best pass rushes. You could argue the best pass rush in football, given certain statistics from the Houston Texans defense. And he played relatively well. And especially, you take out the first couple drives where it was choppy, the pick, the 3 and out. Wasn't a fan of the first couple of play calls from Alex Van Pelt. That's if Drake didn't change things to the line of scrimmage. But, the early start where he was shaky, got off to a slow start. Then he picked it up and he played better as the game went on. And again, I thought that second interception, that's not really on him. That's a tip of the cap to the defense. That's a crazy freak play. But yeah, now you look at it, you say that dude just played one of the better defenses in football. D'Amico Ryans changed a lot of things on third down. He throws the kitchen sink at you at times. And for Drake to play as well as he played yesterday in his first NFL start, I do think that's a huge positive. And again, Patriots fans should be excited and happy and mostly encouraged by what they saw. Anonymous, $10 super chat. Thank you, Anonymous. For all the positives about May, coaching is a problem. Too many dumb penalties. What coach might we see replaced before the season's over? If I had my guess, if one of the coordinators was to go, it would be Van Pelt. I do not think Covington would go. Covington and Mayo have that close relationship. Covington has seen as somebody throughout the NFL as capable of doing the job. So I think, if this offense doesn't look better with May, that's a Van Pelt problem, right? Because now Jacoby Brissett, no longer the scapegoat. He's on the bench. If this offense struggles moving the football, struggles scoring points like they struggled through the first month or so, then Van Pelt would be on the chopping block. I also think the Patriots have a couple of in-house options, specifically one in-house option that I've brought up before, and that's Ben McAdoo. And so Ben McAdoo has been around Drake May an awful lot. McAdoo's been around the team. He has experience as a play caller. He's actually done a pretty good job as an offensive coordinator. Terrible head coach, but did a good job of being the OC in New York. Did a pretty good job in Carolina after they traded Run CMC. Kind of kept that offense afloat. So the Patriots, they have an in-house option. If they decided to get rid of Alex Van Pelt, they can easily transition to Ben McAdoo, who's with the team already. And McAdoo already has a relationship with these guys on the offense, especially the quarterbacks, especially Drake May. So I think, yes, it would be AVP if the Patriots decided to fire a coach at some point here. I don't think we're there yet, but if we're talking week 10, week 11, and we see some of these struggles, and May is not progressing, the offense isn't better, then yeah, I think we could see some changes. And I wouldn't be surprised that it would be Van Pelt. I think it would be Van Pelt first and foremost. He'd be the one out the door. McAdoo would slide in. They'd go from there. T.C. McCartney's another guy on the staff. He's younger, doesn't have the offensive coordinator experience, so I don't think it would be very likely that they would go to T.C. McCartney. I think they would go to McAdoo, and maybe they think about grooming McCartney to be the OC next year, but that's getting too far ahead. Questions answered. I think Van Pelt would be the first guy gone. All right, let's get to some other game thoughts, not having to do with Drake May, or at least not entirely having to do with Drake May. We just talked about Van Pelt. One of the things that drove me crazy yesterday was the fact that the Patriots, and I said this on Friday, and I've said this a lot this year, I don't know why the Patriots are deciding to pass protect one-on-one on the outside against some of these great pass rushers. I don't get it. Nick Bosa single-handedly destroyed the Patriots offense in San Francisco, and Van Pelt continued to not give help to the tackle position. It was Bosa one-on-one way too often. And I said on Friday, please don't leave your tackles on an island too often against Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, because those guys, they will eat your lunch. And for whatever reason, there we were again yesterday, and Alex Van Pelt chooses to not help his tackles. He chooses to not help on Hunter or Anderson. You know, they only doubled Anderson and or Hunter. They only doubled those guys a combined 4 times. That's it. That's it. 4 times they doubled one of those two pass rushers. And to me, that makes 0 sense. I don't know how you don't give your tackle more help. And it led to Vidarian Lowe's injury because, Jacobs got blown up on the right side, and Vidarian Lowe, he gets his legs taken out from underneath him, and now he's going for an MRI. That's a direct result of not helping your young right tackle. A direct result. And so I don't know why they don't do it. Evan Lazar wrote about this. Trey Jacobs was on an island on 90.5% of his pass blocking snaps. So over 90% of the pass blocking snaps Trey Jacobs had during the game yesterday, he was one-on-one. And I think that's bad coaching. I think that is bad coordinator play calling. I don't get it. I don't know why you would leave Jacobs one-on-one on an island over 90% of the time. It's an outrageous decision to me. Outrageous. And Van Pelt keeps doing it every single week. And it defies any common sense or logic. We go into these games knowing this stuff. We go into these games knowing who you're going to have at tackle and how thin you are at tackle with all of these injuries. And you're going against one of the best pass rushes in football. And you've got 2 guys on the edges that absolutely get after the quarterback. And your plan is to let Trey Jacobs go one-on-one for more than 90% of his pass blocking snaps. That to me is borderline insane. But there it was again. Zach Thomas, who came in for Vidarian Lowe. He went one-on-one on 80% of his pass plays. He's like your 5th left tackle, and you let him go one-on-one on 80% of his pass protection sets? That, again, is insane to me. And I don't know why Van Pelt keeps doing it. But, Jacoby Brissett got blasted a billion times because of this. Drake Maye got hit a bunch yesterday. He took 8 quarterback hits, was sacked 4 times. A lot of that was one-on-one. Will Anderson had 3 sacks, 5 pressures and 3 sacks. You go into that game saying, how can we limit Will Anderson? We can't allow that guy to impact the game at a high level. Just like you should have said to yourself going into the San Francisco game against Nick Bosa. We can't let that guy destroy us. And there he is with 3 sacks and 5 pressures on the day. Way too much of an impact. Danielle Hunter, he got the strip sack. Way too much of an impact. And he had 3 hurries. So Hunter had 3 hurries. Anderson had 3 sacks, 5 pressures. And you're going one-on-one. 80% of the time with Zach Thomas, who was literally just thrown out there. And over 90% of the time with Trey Jacobs on the right side. Bad plan. According to Next Gen Stats, Evan Lazar writes that Drake Maye was pressured on a relatively high 47.6% of his dropbacks. Houston blitzed more than 32% of the time. And your offensive coordinator was like, nah, we good. We're going to go one-on-one with our tackles. By the way, Pro Football Focus, again, we talked about this earlier with, the separation stats for receivers and Jalen Polk. If you look at the pressure rate, that's another example of an analytic that is completely different. Like Next Gen Stats, again, had the pressure rate yesterday against the Patriots at 47.6%. Pro Football Focus had it at 30.9%. That's such a different universe we're talking about. In terms of quick pressures, Trey Jacobs gave up 3 quick pressures, 2 sacks. Michael Jordan gave up 2 quick pressures. Thomas gave up 2 and 2 sacks. Ben Brown gave up 2 quick pressures. And starting right guard Mike Owenu allowed 1 quick pressure. And, of course, the run game was awful. 4 successful runs with 6 run stuffs. So you had no run game. And the fact that this team hasn't been able to run against bad run defenses is driving me crazy. It's driving me nuts. All right, a couple more super chats. G-Reg, many reasons to be optimistic about Maye. Offensive line is a known concern, but now I worry about our defense. We aren't stopping anyone. Even if Maye balls out, it won't matter if our defense allows 40-plus points. Aloha. Thank you, G-Reg. Very much appreciated for the 10 in the super chat. Yeah, we'll get to the defense in a minute, but it's a problem. It's a problem. The run defense is a problem. And we're gonna break some of that down here soon. But the defense has to be better. They haven't been good enough. They just have not been good enough the last couple of weeks. And look, you give up 15 points to Miami, you'll survive. We got to remember there was, a couple of missed opportunities by Miami. Miami is working with, what they got at quarterback and Snoop Huntley. So the defense has to be better. Terry Grant, $20 super chat. Thank you, Terry. Hi to Maryland and France. You enjoyed the Africa part of your trip. We have missed you. Yes, we have missed you, Maryland. And thank you for jumping into the podcast today. Very much appreciated. And Terry, thank you for the $20 super chat. Also very much appreciated. And Maryland, hopefully you are enjoying your trip and you are safe during your trip. All right, let's get to that run defense, though. It stinks, right? Run defense stinks out loud. And we could say, Jawan Bentley and Jabril Peppers, and I get it, but you can't be this bad. You can't give up back-to-back 190-plus yard performances. It's despicable. It's ridiculous. Their run defense has been awful. And Devon Godshaw called them out yesterday in the locker room. Godshaw said, guys have to take accountability. Even if you think the game was over, say in the third quarter, if you thought the game was over after the third quarter, it's just about having pride. It doesn't look like we have pride out there. It's really just frustrating. The offense gave us 21 points. Usually our defense, our standard, the opposing offense doesn't score 21. We have to figure out a way to get back to the standard of playing great defense. 41 points is embarrassing. They have to be better. They have to be better against the run. They have to be better against the run, especially when those teams have not been very successful at running the damn football. Brutal. You give up, 2 50-plus yard runs yesterday? You're giving up all sorts of gigantic, big-time chunk plays in the run game. Run defense has to be better. McMillan has been bad. Raekwon McMillan has been bad. Bad. They've all year long had an issue with whoever's playing next to Devon Godshaw in the run game. They let Lawrence Guy walk. And so now they're in a situation where their run defense just is not good enough. It's just not good enough. The lack of discipline is another issue from this football team. 9 penalties. What were 7 of them in the first half? Way too many flags. This is a coaching issue. This is a coaching issue. When you're seeing the same kind of mistakes over and over and over again, that's on the coaching. When the run defense has been as bad as it's been, that's coaching. Figure out your run fits. When you see flag after flag after flag after flag, that's coaching. It's a lack of discipline. We saw it yesterday. Now, Marte Mapu, that defensive pass interference call was trash. I think we all understand that. I think all of us agree that defensive pass interference was a terrible, terrible call. But you're not going to excuse, 9 flags, especially when last week it's been Flag Fest 2024. Has to be better. The lack of discipline is on the coaching staff. It's on the coaching staff. So there's too many flags. Tackling. The last few years, the Patriots have been one of the best tackling teams in football. Their tackling has been atrocious the last 4 or 5 weeks. I don't know what the hell happened. Against Cincinnati, they were great in week 1. Great tackling, pretty much team-wide. Since then, their tackling has been a disaster. They are one of the worst tackling teams in football the last month or so. Again, that's on the coaching. We're talking about fundamentals. We're talking about discipline. That's on the coaching. Greg Bedard wrote about the tackling. Patriots had 7 missed tackles yesterday. They had 11 against Miami, 7 against the Niners, 11 against the Jets, 8 against the Seahawks. Against the Bengals, they only had 3 missed tackles. 3 missed tackles. It's been a problem every week since week 1. Straighten it out. You've got to be better. You've got to tackle. It's basic stuff. The Patriots did play more man, which I like. They played almost 53% of the time in man coverage, according to Evan Lazar. I agree with the plan. Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell hurt you, though, in man coverage. They hurt you. So I don't disagree with playing more man coverage. I think that's the strength of this team, especially with Christian Gonzalez. But you tip your cap to Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs because they beat you multiple times yesterday. Gonzalez gives up his second touchdown on the year. For the most part, Gonzalez was good yesterday, but he does give that touchdown up. So I do like the idea of playing more man coverage, though. And they had some simulated pressure as well as the game went on, which I like. So maybe that there's a little bit of a change here from DeMarcus Covington, and we start to see them play more man, especially on third down, and that'll open up some things defensively for them. But you can't be getting gashed in the run game. You know, first, second down, you're looking at third and short constantly when you're giving up a billion yards rushing. Obviously, you can't turn the ball over 4 times against any team, especially a contending team like Houston. You're behind the 8 ball. As soon as you turn the ball over 4 times, just way too much. Way too much. 3 of those were avoidable. I don't know what the hell Austin Hooper was doing. I don't know what that was. Again, freak play on the second interception. First interception's on Maye. It's a bad throw. Strip sack. He's got to see that coming. Got to get rid of the football. Got to take care of the football. So 3 of those turnovers were avoidable. Third down defense, though, was good. I'll give credit to third down defense. Houston was 4 for 11 on third down. They came into this game as one of the better teams on third down. So you did a good job holding up on third down, especially as the game went on. Receivers, Kayshon Boutte, Pop Douglas, they gave you a little bit of life. You love to see it. Andrew Callahan wrote, Douglas had 92 receiving yards, the most by a Patriots wide receiver in a single game since December 24th, 2022. You love to see it. We talked about Jalen Polk earlier. He was bad, and he's been disappointing. He's got to be better, and hopefully he will be better. Hopefully the change at quarterback will get him going, and he will prove to be a good receiver like I think he is a good receiver. But got to call a spade a spade. Polk's been bad. He's been disappointing. I also thought the end of the game was weird, like zero urgency. I don't know if it was out of respect to the game. I don't know if it was out of respect to Houston. But the Patriots, they had an opportunity to put some points on the board, and they had zero urgency at the end of the game, which was kind of weird. Maybe it was an offensive line issue because the offensive line has just had no injury luck whatsoever. You know, yesterday you got that game. You got Onwenu out there. You've got Zach Thomas claimed off waivers. You've got Michael Jordan, who signed a futures contract in January, and he was later replaced by City So. You had Ben Brown, who literally arrived to town on Thursday, starting at center for you. You had DeMontre Jacobs at right tackle, another waiver claim. Just a comical amount of injuries happening on this offensive line. We talked about it on Friday. Finally, you had back-to-back games with the same starting 5, and then during the game, you lose Vidarian Lowe, and you lose Michael Jordan to injury. This offensive line has just not been able to stay healthy and find that continuity and find some kind of good momentum. And it looked like they were getting there. Right? Last week, looked like outside of Nick Leverett, who was a disaster, no longer with the team now, the rest of that offensive line looked like they were starting to, figure some things out in pass pro. And then wouldn't you know it, 2 more guys go down yesterday. It's infuriating. Chris Chapman, thanks for the $10 super chat. We'll take the positives from Drake's first game. It was fun to watch for once. Yes. again, overall, I think overall, you got to feel good. You got to feel good about Drake May and the way he looked. It's one game, but we waxed poetic about him for the first 30 minutes or so of this podcast. I think you walk away from that game feeling encouraged. You walk away from that game feeling pretty good about your young quarterback. You hope he builds off that now going against Jacksonville and London coming up on Sunday. And hopefully he just looks even better on Sunday against the Jags, which is a much easier matchup when you look at talent and the way they play and where they are as a football team right now. So you build off that. You continue to get better. And hopefully that's what we see from May, is that he continues to get better and gets more comfortable. And this offense is now more explosive, and you're moving the football more and you're scoring some more points. Over the next 3-4 weeks, they're going to have a very good opportunity to do some things offensively because of some of the matchups they're going to face. All right, don't forget to hit that thumbs up. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like. Don't forget to throw your comments in as well. Very busy day. Tons of super chats coming in. Thanks to all of you sending super chats. Thanks to all of you who have supported this program. Continue to support the program. Hey, and if you're just joining us for the first time, figuring out that we do something different here, stay. Hang out for a while. We do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 3 o'clock live here on YouTube. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Try to get to 4,500 subscribers. I feel like we can do that with this video. We're less than 20 away from getting there. So don't forget to subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Pods, rate and review as well. All right. Encouraged by Drake May. Feel good about what we saw yesterday from the rookie quarterback. I think Patriots fans should be happy with the way he looked. And now we'll see what happens with this offensive line in front of him. They've got this week coming up in London, so a little bit of a different schedule, obviously, for them. We'll see how they adapt to that. But I think overall you walk away feeling pretty good about what you saw yesterday from Drake. And we've said this from the beginning. If Drake May works out in the long term, most important thing about this entire season, most important thing about this entire offseason, if you hit on Drake May, that means the world. Off to a good start. Like, comment, subscribe, rate, and review. Appreciate every single one of you. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. For now, I'm out. The Nick Cattle Show.